There's some friendly tips, Amar and Devi.
Nice.
There you go.
I don't know if I'd call those ones friendly. You know, Amar, you never.
Nah, it's always friendly with Amar. If he had something to say, he'd type in all chat. You know, a tip, yeah, it's a legitimately hey, you know, like Devi, and that's the one set of people I wish we'd be able to see together at LAN. I mean, not necessarily in the same team, but literally just interact with each other. Devi, Llama, and Amar. I wonder how that goes, considering their personalities.
I'll tell you what, John. If we ever get them at a tournament that we're invited to, we'll do a scuffed podcast with those two on at the same time. I reckon. You know, we'll get them on.
There'll be a lot of throat singing.
Yeah. No, they won't, John. No, they will not. I assure you, I will make sure there will be no throat singing that day. Unless the Llama wants to, you know, call the tournament early. You know, if you want that, I can make that happen as well. That's fine. Team Falcons. Wrapping around. So KJ is around the area. I mean, mind you, he can just skill a Icarus dive if necessary. They'll make the jump in. No, he goes for the spirits instead. All right, I mean, I guess you prefer it for the laning stage, but he will end up just dropping. First blood to go the way of snaking on the support Leshrac.
Sets a good tone for the side of Falcons, even finding 3 of the bounties as well. Still managing to snag Wader's safe lane bounty rune. So already a great start. Having that golden injection onto Lesh does help massively, especially with regen, which is the one shortcoming for Leshrac as a support. Spell spam is not the best to sustain through, so we'll see how much he can get done with that extra start. Still taking a look at that mid lane. Analog and Wind Ranger up against Malrine on the Husker, and again, this lane for the Husker not as comfy. You're outranged by the Wind Ranger. She has decent magic damage with a power shot to clear out the waves. And down the line, once Wind runs up, you're not even going to be able to try to twack her back. So, going to be a little bit rougher in the early levels for Malrine. Should kind of hold steady, but you're probably not looking to duel the Wind Ranger too much either. You're just going to focus on your CS build up. Wondering if we're going to see too much bullying on mid. It does feel like this is a less bottle-emphasized mid matchup. So that should provide a lot more room for these supports to play the side lanes in comparison to what we've seen yesterday.
How are those side lanes going? I mean, bottom lane, Crit, KJ, Amar, and K1 going at it. It seems like ATF, of course, on the Raze is having a great old time. As expected, not much K1 can do once that static link is running. So at least does have the time walk available, but at level 1 the cooldown is just so damn long. A little bit annoying against that Razor, and you wholeheartedly expect that ATF should have a pretty damn good bottom lane, I'd argue.
Yeah, it shouldn't be too rough. Again, early levels of time walk is pretty atrocious, really easy to punish. KJ caught out.
Yeah, very nice setup there from Crit. Realizing the level 1 mark is still there, Crit just going for the easy shards into the tag team and sets up the easiest of kills here for ATF, which, again, it all goes back to the fact that you leveled up Fire Spirits level 1. Even against this lane duo, you might have actually just preferred Icarus Dive, honestly, just based off those kind of shards being thrown out.
There were plenty of better choices.
A bit of harassment up at the top lane. Devi's going to be alright to back his way out, though. It's that double stun combination between Skitter and Snaking just so scary. Especially if there's no creep wave around and he can just use that Diabolic Edict immediately afterwards. It can be very, very detrimental to the Mars and the Tiny. Devi's still finding plenty of farm, though, to be fair. Just top of the CS board here with 20 and 1. Has been able to keep the creep wave mostly underneath his own tier 1 tower, so has been relatively safe. Speaking of safe, Analog in the mid lane, not having the worst time either on the Wind Ranger, currently 15 and 6. Obviously, Malrine is still going to pull ahead, especially every time you've got the Wind Run on cooldown. Malrine is just going to be able to pressure you like this. And in fact, Malrine really just getting right behind the tier 1 tower, forcing a rotation early from Schofield to try and ensure they do not lose this Wind Ranger mid. But even with the hero advantage that you do have, and I say advantage, I don't necessarily think it is an advantage, but the Wind Ranger pickup against the Husker still doesn't really feel that comfortable based off what we were seeing.
Take that too.
Absolutely not. Analog already going for the double bracer build up, just trying to tank himself up a little bit here. Although those power and timing is of course going to be ultra important for the Wind Ranger not to give away to Malrine. Not like the Husker needs much more of an advantage here in this mid. So Heroic already getting the stacks going as well on the triangle, just kind of prepping for a bit of a comeback farm here for Analog, who is going to continue to suffer as with the top lane Divine Llama now just being chased away by Snaking. It's kind of the thing as well, like every time you get left alone here on the Mars, you can't really stick around. It's pretty tough, you know, against this pos 5 Leshrac just chasing you down with Diabolic Edict, it can be a pretty tough affair. Oh, Devi. Yeah, it's a bit of an awkward situation here for Devi Llama. He's getting kind of cut off. He's going to run, just continue run towards the east of the map. And it looks like he is eventually going to be alright, as Malrine was not quite level 6 yet. But definitely scary, scary times here for Devi, who's just currently running across the map. He just doesn't really have any kind of gameplay at the moment. Which is, I suppose, the strength of the pos 5 Leshrac. It just doesn't really lose the lane, as now mid lane, Crit, he's going to find Analog. Some great body blocks coming out, and Malrine, he's going to be able to go right into the life break, which means Analog is just as good as dead. Perfect setup here from Crit. Meanwhile, though, K1, he does take out ATF. So you find a pretty damn good trade across the map here for K1, but it seems as though Falcons are putting a lot of emphasis on just ensuring this mid lane is not going to work out for Heroic. Devi just can't catch a break right now. Snaking just continuing the chase here with Skinner. It is very tough again. Like, he's been left alone. You know, I mean, even if Schofield stuck around on the Tiny, it's not like you could really do too much as a position 4 Tiny against this kind of duo. And we're now Snaking, of course, can just start pressuring the T1 tower with the Siege Creep. Level 3 Diabolic Edict. Sure, Devi eventually going to clear out the creep wave, but they do force out a glyph early on. And this is the thing that's just going to keep happening as well, right? Like, every time Snaking's missing, if he's by a tower, chances are he's just going to take it out on his own. Not much you can really do about it. Yeah.
K lead already for the Falcons. They are diving onto Malrine a bit.
Yeah, Focus Fire committed, trying to kill Malrine off. They are going to be able to get the power rune as well. I believe they should be able to. Schofield does take it for himself. Interesting Focus Fire attempt. Maybe just trying to ensure that he could not contest the power rune. And Malrine will just tip him for it.
Yeah. I mean, it's not the biggest loss. I don't think it's going to be as sensitive for the Husker to play around these power runes. The damage output as well, it's not quite high enough from Analog, although.
Shackle out Malrine. Oh, saved by a very nice snowball of Crit. Crit seeing it coming, and now, well, Poor old Schofield is going to have to die as Analog is still continuing to try and take down Malrine, but he does heal up with the 1 charges. He will be just fine to survive through it. But once again, a fantastic snowball from Crit. Just preempting the movement out from Schofield and saving the day, really.
Yeah, just waiting for that TTB to finish up. Gets the save going, gets some info as well. Spots out these stacks. A rotation into the triangle. They clear out top with a Wraith King and Lush, as you'd expect. The Vi.
Yeah, he's trying to run. Snaking's just trying to land the split earth here and stun him up as Snowball going to come out from Crit. Won't quite land, but they do have the shards out. Locking Divide down. Schofield, he's going to rotate with a very nice avalanche, but it just doesn't matter. Divide's gone. Schofield will follow. They do at least pick off ATF across the map again, but does it really matter? Well, not really, because Malrine, he does pick off the Wind Ranger as a trade. So just everything seemingly still going Falcons' way.
And this is where it gets really, really rough for the side of Heroic. You've got the early armlet timing already up for Malrine, so trying to punish this Husker is going to feel very, very difficult. Sanj being built up next as well. I mean, it really isn't a loss for Amar to fall. Like, he's already doing his job, just suppressing this lane for Hector. Hector is finding farm, but again, all he's doing is being a massive nuisance.
K1. It's kind of the thing, right? Like, this is classic ATF gameplay. Like, yeah, I can die a billion times, but you're still not going to find the farm you want. You know, just, you look at this Husky, you look at this Wraith King, they're both having the freest times of their lives. Like, maybe now Malrine could go down. Analog's going to find him. Shaka will land. He does armlet toggle at the right moment, though. Focus fire is out. Malrine still going to just armlet toggle his way out of here as Crit now and Snaking will both show up to ensure the Husker does not die. Power shot. It does land on Malrine, but it just doesn't do the damage.
Nah, just a little bit too trivial again with that armlet. Not going to be the easiest to pin down, and we'll group up for that push. And you've got the Leshrac support maxed out Edict. Doesn't take too long. And you have no counterplay.
Don't forget the Skelly boys, John. The Skellies are here. They're doing work too. It is rather revolting, this kind of draft, huh?
It is.
They get a slight advantage and suddenly all your tier 1 towers just melt.
Yeah, and again, these tier 1s, they've felt much more important with this bigger map. Just allows a little bit more reach to contest farm. They just swing down bot as well. No cooldowns to wait for. Nothing to really hold you back from this constant aggression. In comparison for Heroic, I mean, your Chrono's down in Hector. You don't have Egg ready yet on KJ. You've got Arena ready in Devi at the very least. That could give you an angle in.
Devi's going to try. Snaking, going to be noticed. They do have a snowball here with Crit. Nice spear to push him away, though Crit's still trying to find an angle. Doesn't quite get it. Snaking, though, he's not dying. Snaking is not really dying, John. Which is pretty depressing to watch if you are Heroic. That was your arena committed. And Snaking, without help, will survive.
And it's just not focused enough. Devi had to get that angle instantly, right before his timing was kind of ready. They're going for a big one.
I mean, they tossed Crit in. I think Crit was more than happy with that toss. Because Devi now is just dead. Schofield just tossed him right into Devi Llama, and Devi was like, bro, I don't want this guy near me. Get this guy away from me. What are you doing?
Yeah, it's not panning out. I do appreciate that Heroic's trying to play around at the very least to Mars. Does feel like until he's a little bit more durable and has that blink, these angles are just so difficult to find. And you saw how much pressure there was on Devi to just go for that arena straight away when he saw Snaking isolated. But even then, you're not close enough on Schofield for the avalanche toss in time. You don't have an egg to drop on top. It's not the timing that you're looking for on Heroic. They have to sit back, get that build up, try to get this Maelstrom timing up and running on Analog. Meanwhile, the side of Falcons, they're just going to have free control over Roshan, which is, again, something the Husker does very well. So 2 lives up on Malrine. You can't even find the first. I don't know if you're going to be able to deal with 2 here.
It doesn't feel like it. The saves have been fantastic from Crit, you know. Malrine obviously armlet toggling. Now an Aegis on top of that. Even the safety bubble he's got, right? Like that plus 100 HP barrier for a Husker, it really can make a world of difference. It's Maureen, speaking of the devil now, running right towards Divine Llama. Crits around as well. They'll toss Snaking in. Snaking, he's still a tanky boy. I don't know if he drops that quickly. Divine Llama's going to spear him up in the arena, but Snaking is just casually walking away. I don't know what to tell you here, John. Schofield, he's doing his job. He's finding the enemy support, but the enemy support is just not dying.
Yeah, it's just such a tanky little guy. This Lesh with the early mech up, even with a Seed of Serenity. Yeah, and you've got the mech, Seeds of Serenity, you've got all the region in the world. You don't have the burst in this lineup. Not unless you can really go for the avalanche toss instead of just the toss backs. It does feel like a key part of this is going to be just burst damage.
Look at how depressing this must have been for Heroic. Look, just Snaking's just like, hey, I'm not dying. I'll run back at you boys. Now, what do you do with this?
Yeah. I mean, again, it's a couple of factors, right? Like in this case, it's a toss back without the avalanche. You're not getting the damage amplification on the avalanche damage, so you're not getting the burst because you have to reposition, and you're forced to reposition that way because you don't have a blink to kind of line you up a little bit better here. It's like very opportunistic. Like they're just looking for these openings. They're not able to really plan and execute around cleaner openings than they would like on Heroic's end. And Falcons, they've got a lineup that's not just durable from supports. Even these cores are going to be unkillable at this point. Analog.
Oh, this is a core that is very killable right now. John Analog is going to try for a focus fire play out, but no, he's not. He's dead. You see Snaking and Crit just running at you as a mid-wind ranger, and you just can't do anything about it. Executor was not required, I don't believe. He was just there to claim the kill.
Pretty much. They'll lose KJ down pot as well. Maureen just doing Husker things, acing down. And I don't know if you can rally back in here. You're hinging all your hopes on Hector landing some insane chronos with an egg follow-up. But this Face's Void isn't ready. This Wind Ranger is far from ready as well for Analog. You're losing a lot of map space with towers just falling apart. You've got the insane push again of this Leshrac backing that up just with the Diabolic Edict, which also got bumped up by +1 damage at each level, +1, +2, +3, +4 at max. So it's a lot more output as well. 2 to 11, 9k up. And Falcons, they get a good read. You know, they realize after first day, all right, you know, support Lesh. Let's bring this tech out. It hasn't been noticed as much by everyone else. Now we're probably going to see it be banned. Thank you, Snaking.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your service here, Snaking. Tier 2 bottom tower, just not going to last. I mean, Schofield is picking up Maureen. They're going to give it a crack. Maureen may lose the Aegis, or maybe just not. Maybe not. They missed the spear. Maureen still getting burnt by the Sunray. Arena Town now. They'll get the Aegis down, but they've lost K1. They've lost K1. He's died in the Radiant Triangle. And Maureen's just waving them goodbye. What's the point?
I don't know, just not having to deal with 2 lives.
Crit's going fishing here. Johnny's found Schofield. Schofield's down. Crit gets into a snowball. He might just be dead, but Snaking's going to run in. Tries to take tower aggro. And Crit, he's just going to casually walk out. Even the power shot not going to be enough.
Oh, no.
Oh, boy. I mean, what do you do? We're 16.5 minutes in, and this game looks practically over.
There's an easy solution you can do right now as well.
Yes.
Open up the scoreboard, click the little flag, report for smurfing all 5 players on Falcons right now. That's the best you can do and hope for the next game to get go.
I'm talking as we speak, Jonathan.
It's a rough go for Heroic. Again, like the draft, they're leaning into this comfort for Hector. The tempo, it's just not there. The lanes are, Hector?
Okay, well, he gets stunned by Snaking. Well, what's he gonna do? Like, at least he does time walk the right way. Chrono out. He's gonna try. Where's the damage? They are giving it a crack. Snaking, though, is just tanking everything. And with that, I mean, at least K1 gets away, you know? There's always a positive to every situation, Jonathan.
I guess, but that's no chrono for a good 2 minutes 20. That means no high ground defense, and that means Snaking can just stand there and Diabolic Edict.
Also means Maureen can just casually jump in and take down your support Tiny. Schofield just going to die very slowly. He'll stick charge up, and it's not going to matter. Very nice. The Violama now wants to join his team. Mate does go down. The Heroic was that team yesterday that did not call GG, even up against Megas. They did play it out. So I highly doubt we see them calling it early, but again, this is going to be a very tough comeback if there ever is one.
That it is. You need a lot more farm on Analog and on Hector to really have that impact. You need some blinks up on the Vi. You need your blink to be finally finished on Schofield as well. None of that is looking to come out anytime soon. These tools just not ready. Because that siege is just relentless from the side of Falcons. Buying that bot fully cleaned up. Good swing over to mid. Again, no ults to wait for. There's nothing to stop them, but the released Skitter goes to repair top. They might look for Hector again.
K1 gonna get life broken up. Malrain looking to see where he time walks. He does go north. And the chase is on. Crit's got the snowball. It's gonna land. He's got the punch to follow up. And poor old K1 still time walks away. He's alright. He'll make it for now. In comes Schofield trying to go into Snaking, but Snaking's just gonna chase him down. Snaking just chases him down, takes him out. ATF, meanwhile, fighting the rest of the team by himself. In goes the arena. K1's going to go in for a fight. They are dropping rather low here on Falcons, but are they dropping low enough? Well, they do get ATF. They will find Snaking, and perhaps they've even got Malrine. They'll find the Husker, and now, well, maybe they even find a Wraith King for their trouble. Skid has been caught. He'll lose the Reincarnate, and suddenly, Heroic have basically found themselves a 4-man wipe. What?
And it all finally connects. You know, they get the arena, they get this shard, huge tool for them to play with. Just having that Sunray coming out with the egg. And they get that spacing to get the egg successfully as well. Like, all of that lining up, just a little bit of an overextension from the side of Falcons, not respecting that team fight. At the right spot, at the perfect choke point. Just look at that burn damage. It's enough to eat through all of that regen. That's all they needed. That's all we've been looking for. Just a connection with Arena Egg or Chrono Egg. With a Sunray, they cut off Falcons. A huge swing coming out there for Heroic. Not quite enough to reel them fully back in control of the game, of course, but nonetheless, breathe some life into this lineup just a little bit. Falcons still have to somewhat respect the side of Heroic. Anything can happen. They have a lot more team fight than you do when those cooldowns are off.
Oh, K1? K1? Skitter?
Pathing issues.
A little bit lost there. And pathing can be a little bit cheeky sometimes. Just misses out of the free stun he had there, the free TP cancellation. Meanwhile, Analog not going to die. Very, very good. We'll be able to get a nice little free shot here for Schofield. The Crit's just going to jump in and just snipes him anyway. Analog is gone. The Violama is going to be able to get his way out. But that is a little bit sad just seeing your mid-wind ranger die to a support tusk.
I mean, to be fair, he did just come out from the Tormentor, you know, so he was already low. Really good read from Crit to go for that punish as the Tormentor is taken. Understanding they can't take it very healthily here on Heroic. Should find themselves the last outer tower left for Heroic to play off of as well. And for Falcons, they're grouped up in a good spot. They're taking control of the triangle. They're starting to get some BKBs up, especially for Malrine. Once this BKB's up, you shouldn't see as many issues as we saw last time in the middle of these fights. You've got the blink ready on Skitter, so you can just kind of jump around and follow through from when that Husker does get aggressive as well. I don't see the side of Falcons making that same mistake of just chasing down Hector and having this team fight be split up in almost two fronts, it feels like, and then them just funneling into a choke point. Especially with these tools coming in. Like down the line, you have the Ags for Malrine that will come out after this BKB, which is finished up. Once you have the Ags, you're not going to have that window for Hector to just jump away anymore. I mean, he's got the Manta to dodge, I suppose. So there's some counterplay available at this point for Heroic. Still a uphill fight for Heroic, but they've held out once. They just need to do it 2-3 more times there.
What they do? 12k advantage right now for Falcons, but Heroic certainly showing us that they aren't out of it quite yet. Now Falcons, you've got Skitter with the blink up now. He wants to try and make a cheeky jump in onto Analog and does get the Wraith Fire Blast, but not before the Wind Run does fly out. Windrun will ensure that Analog does survive another day. You don't really have so much to play for here on the side of Falcons, apart from high ground and Roshan. That being said, though, Roshan is available, so it might be probably about time to just go for that. And maybe look to that high ground again right afterwards, and it seems like they are going to head that way. So it's Roshan time again here for Falcons.
Shouldn't take too long for them to find that. Then you have managed to get some recovery going for Heroic. I don't see them taking the fight outside at this point. Just play the high ground. Don't have forward vision as well to contest the Roche. Gonna be a nice and smooth Roshan for Falcons with the Roche banner as well to help into the high ground siege with creeps. Still, maybe a sneaky movement here from Schofield. I mean, he's got his own blink ready with a smoke.
He does. You actually get in though? Nah, it doesn't seem like he's gonna have the timing quite there. Immediate TP's up toward the top lane here by Falcons. They just want to try and address that creep wave immediately. Back to Chrono, committed.
Ooh.
The Void has been caught out. K1, well, he's going to be able to TP away, but that is another Chrono. So
Yeah,
if you wanted to go high
Chrono.
ground right now, no Chrono available.
Yeah, nothing to be scared of. But again, the last time we saw success from Heroic was just the Arena plus a good Supernova. That could still be enough. And I like that read from Hector. Just cut the creep waves, prevent any more action on these pushes. They do catch out the Vi.
They will use the stun though, so the Vi Llama just immediately just going to TP out and does make it, of course. Falcons, I mean, they are still just hanging around that Radiant Triangle, still biding their time. They've already found the bottom rack, so it seems like Skidder might start setting up for the top. You could also just take the time to farm for a while as well. I mean, there's not really too much of a rush. But you do have such a substantial net worth advantage that you may as well try right now. The Vi does get caught bottom lane. He'll go for a run away from Skidder, but here comes the cavalry. They do jump in with the snowball here out for the crit. Mind you, Schofield is there to try and protect. They'll miss the shards as well.
Ooh.
Shackle out, catching two of them. Falcons, well, they do get a couple caught in an arena now from Divine Llama. They'll try to burst down Snaking immediately. Snaking still surviving next to Malrine. Maybe able to walk away, but no, he is down. But Analog, he's going to give his life away for it. Oh, I just don't know. For a pos 5 Leshrak, your mid-wind ranger dies for it. I can't quite say it's worth. Now K1, force the time walk away. They'll at least find Malrine with the Aegis, so the Aegis is down. Buybacks are incoming, and Analog and Divine Llama both trying to get back into this fight. But the fight is basically over. Falcons are just back onto the T3 tower. And after the T3, they just kind of leave. No stress for them.
Yeah. The push is a lot slower without snaking. And that was some good isolation, all things considered, for Heroic. Could have gone a lot worse. They didn't have to expend the egg either, so it's only Arena, which isn't a long cooldown. Should still have some wiggle room to get the Arena egg combination off for a wider fight. Falcons, though, fully reset. No re-ink, but they're ready to go.
They certainly are. Crit was ready to jump in whenever. K1, though, sensing something was a little bit awry, does back his way out. It's just, this is that point of the game now where you're just ultra scared to leave the base if you are Heroic. It is not safe outside.
No. Again, that high ground fight was some pretty good isolation. Again, not quite getting the connections they'd want. Not the biggest arena. Well, it's still a pretty big arena, but not the kind of arena you could fully commit the egg onto. Still buying time for the side of Heroic. They've got Chrono back up on Hector. They've got the Manta up. They've got that full Mjolnir. There's some damage to play with in the Chrono. Good scan to bail Hector out. And just cuts the creep waves. Again, just stalling for time, trying to reach that scaling. 16k lead for Falcons is still substantial, but you're closing the gap just a little bit with the BKBs being up on Analog, going into the Dragonlance next to have a little bit more reach. There is damage in the Chrono. There is damage that can flow through. They just need to find a way to execute on it, as we've seen a couple of times here for Heroic. Falcons, for their part, there's going to be a lot of issues once you've got this full Ags up on Malrine. You don't have anything like Linken's to block, so once he's able to just constantly jump through on you, it's not going to feel amazing. Especially if he just manages to jump someone like, say, Analog, or if Hector uses the Manta to farm up, doesn't have that Dispel, and gets jumped by the Life Break Ags. you're definitely just down a man straight up. There's no saving you from that.
They're gonna try again, it seems like. Top lane. Wave will be pushed out here by Falcons, and well, there's a 17k advantage now for Falcons, but they are not going to try and pressure the high ground quite yet. I mean, you are still playing without an Aegis up. Though I say that, they do smoke up as 4. Smoke is... Well, it was actually Heroic smoking up, never mind. Heroic trying to move in. Falcons right next to them. Scope's going to jump in now. They're trying to crit. Snaking as well being targeted. This is not looking too bad so far for Heroic. But here comes the big boys. K1's dropped the Chrono. He'll try to go into the Husker, but Maureen's not dying.
No.
Analog and Maureen both, well, Analog and rather K1 both trying onto Maureen, but they just don't have the damage. Even in the Chrono with the focus fire, it just doesn't matter.
No. Just doesn't. Couldn't manage to get off the egg follow through as well. And they just dive. There's nothing to stop you now. You know Chrono's down. You know Arena's down. Egg's not a threat without either of those spells. Snaking's alive for the high ground, so ripping through these racks not going to take too long. And that should be the Megas coming in. All Hector can do, try to cut off the waves. Get a little bit of a push on the mid, but the Silence are already shoving in. This is do or die for Heroic. I can see maybe just one more fight with the next arena ready. Try to get that arena egg. Beyond that, this has been just a brutal game coming out from Falcons here.
It certainly has. I mean, 16 and a half minutes in, they're already taking down a Rax. Now 29 minutes in. Off the back of Heroic, trying their absolute best to make a comeback happen. They will push onto the Ancient, and Heroic, they are not calling it quite yet, but the Ancient is just slowly falling now. Maybe just hoping for one last team fight here once Divine Llama and Analog have both spawned back up. But the Ancient, oh, it's less than half HP at this point. Skid is going to jump in, and it's gone. It is what it is.
All right.
They wanted one more team fight. They don't quite get the chance.